Welcome to the second episode of Price This House. I'm Kimberly O'Neil of Century 21 Spindler & O'Neil.
Hi everybody, I'm Dave O'Neil, broker-owner of Century 21 Spindler & O'Neil, and we want to thank you for all the positive feedback from our friends and neighbors over the last episode that we did. And now today we're here for the second episode, and we're going to have a first quarter review. We're going to compare the numbers for 2013 versus 2012. So I'm ready, let's get into the numbers. We're going to start with North Reading. In 2013, from January 1st to March 31st, we saw a total of 22 units single-family homes sell with an average sale price of $442,000. In 2012, we had 16 units with an average sales price of $421,000. That means that we were up for 38% in units and 5% for sales price in single-family homes for the first quarter of this year. The condo market saw 4 units in the same time period with an average sales price of $222,000 versus last year there were 3 units and an average sales price of $216,000, which means we're up 33% in units and 3% for sale price. The numbers naturally will seem a lot more when you're dealing with a smaller number, 3 to 4 units. It's a higher percentage. In the multifamilies, we didn't have any units in 2012, but this year we did have 1 unit with an average sales price of $240,000. And land, same thing. We didn't have any units for 2012, but we did have 1 unit for $420,000. So we really can't talk about the change at all, other than the market is a lot healthier now than it was a year ago.
Thank you, Dave. For Lynnfield single-family homes, in 2013, we had 19 units sell for an average sale price of $457,000. This compares to 21 units a year ago in 2012 with an average sale price of $458,000. A slight decrease of 10% in terms of number of units sold, but a flat sale price, which is quite interesting year over year to have very consistent sale price for the average. That's for single families. In the condo market, in 2013, we had 5 units sell with an average sale price of $355,000. This compares to 2012, where we had 6 units sell with an average sale price of $455,000. That's down 17% for number of units and down 20% for sales price. Keep in mind, with limited number of condos that sold, that the percentages are going to swing quite a bit because just one outlier in terms of dollar value is going to throw the statistics off when you're only talking 4 or 5 units for comparison. In Lynnfield, there were no multifamilies sold in 2012 or 2013, and there was no land sold in 2012 or 2013, both referring to the first quarters.
And in Reading, in 2013, we saw 37 units with an average sales price of $507,000. Versus in 2012, we had 27 units with an average sales price of $488,000, which is up 19% for units and 4% for sale price. Condo market had 5 units in 2013 at an average sales price of $194,000, with 8 units in 2012 for an average sales price of $262,000. Which means we were down for 37.5% for units in Reading for this year for condos, and down 26% for sale price for condos. Multifamily saw no sales in 2013 first quarter for multifamilies versus 2 last year with an average sales price of $237,000, and 1 unit of land this year at $275,000 versus 2 units last year for $267,000. Again, 50% down in units, but up 4% in sales price. Again, those swings seem a lot higher when they're dealing with that few units.
In Andover, in 2013, in the first quarter, we had 40 units sell with an average sale price of $426,000. That compares to 57 units that sold with an average sale price of $586,000 a year ago. This is down 30% for units and 27% for sales price, and we're going to talk about that during our question and answer session as to why that happened. For the condo market in Andover, 2013, only 14 units sold with an average sale price of $305,000 compared to 2012, where we had 21 units sell with an average sale price of $307,000. Again, down 33% in terms of number of units sold, but the prices stayed flat for Q1 2012 versus Q1 2013. In multifamilies, in 2013, we had 6 units sell with an average sale price of $402,000, and that compared to a year ago where we only had 1 unit sell with an average sale price of $335,000. Again, it's hard to compare when you only have 1 unit, so the stats will be skewed at the bottom of your screen. For land in Andover, we actually stayed consistent number-wise. We sold 2 units in each of the first quarter of 2012 and 2013. The major difference was that the pricing. In 2013, we sold land for $240,000 on average, versus in 2012 it was $898,000. Different parts of town, different quality of land and what have you. Obviously, that shows a 73% change, but again, with the different size and parcels of land, that's going to be the what's attributed to the big distinction there.
Okay, that brings us to the end of our introduction and our statistics. We're going to go forward with our spotlight in just a moment.
Now for our spotlight section, when we're going to go in depth to one home from each of the 4 communities, North Reading, Lynnfield, Reading, and Andover, to show you what some of the comparable homes have sold for in your neighborhood.
First property we're going to talk about is 52 Southwick Road in North Reading. It was listed and sold for $739,900. It was 9 rooms, 4 bedrooms, 4 full and 1 half bath with 2 fireplaces. Had about 3,600 square feet of living area with an additional 2,000 square feet in a finished lower level. Sits on an acre of land in a very nice side street location. Had an absolutely beautiful custom kitchen. The owner was a cabinet maker, and he had a absolutely gorgeous antique white kitchen with a granite island, and it had just top quality closet space throughout the house. Had built-ins in the master bedroom, had a fireplace in the master suite, had built-ins in the other bedrooms as well. And again, it was just absolute beautiful home and sold at full price within the first day the house was on the market, and it sold for $739,900.
Next, we'll be talking about 323 Main Street in Lynnfield. What a spectacular property. It was listed for $989,000 and it sold for $983,000. This is a builder's own home that was set 400 feet back from the street. It was only 2 years old and had 4 finished levels. There was cherry hardwood floors on the first and second floor, a 3-car garage, off-white glazed kitchen and granite counter, 2 master bedrooms, 1 on the first floor and 1 on the second floor, 10-foot ceilings in the finished basement, lots of built-in cabinetry, a breakfast nook, first floor laundry, and just all the bells and whistles. What's interesting about this property is something that we're starting to see with some of the new construction is that as the baby boomer population starts to age, you're seeing a lot more interest in first floor masters. So this property was actually built with a master on the second floor as well as the first floor, which is something that we're starting to get a lot more requests when we're talking new construction. This property was 5,400 square feet, which was, again, 4 floors, and it was set on 1.64 acres of land. Absolute showstopper at $983,000.
Now we're going to move on to Reading. Property here is 11 Keith Road in Reading. It was actually listed at $5,099 and sold for $512,000. It was 8 rooms, 4 bedroom, 1 full and 2 half baths. Did have a nice fireplace. 2,500 square feet of living area and sat on a 1/4 of an acre of land. House had an absolute beautiful 4-year-old custom kitchen, which was an absolute showstopper. It had granite counters, stainless steel appliances, hardwood floors, had a beautiful French doors that led to a stylish first floor family room and a new deck. Had a 4th bedroom or an office in the lower level and central air conditioning, and just absolutely pristine home. And it sold for more than full price, which is something we're seeing in the market today. Not hundreds of thousands of dollars over full price, but it's not uncommon in today's market to see a house sell at full price or a few $1,000s over full price, because the market just does not have enough inventory for the number of people that are out looking at homes right now. Yep.
The next property we'll be talking about is Lot 2A, Christian Way in Andover. This property was right off of River Road near the Franciscan Center. This property was listed for $699,000 and sold for $771,000. Now, don't adjust your screens. That's correct. It was listed for $699 and it sold for $770. This was new construction. And new construction works differently than traditional home sales. When you have a home that's listed with an individual and you start the negotiation process, you can kind of work and try to negotiate on price a little bit. With new construction, the price is typically set. And in terms of getting what you want for your finished product, you typically add on extras. So if you want wainscoting in the dining room, or you want a deck built off the back, or the basement finished, or a variety of different things that you can ask for in terms of upgrades and new construction, it's typically added on to the sale price. So that that's why this is showing at $70,000 over asking price. It's because of the upgrades that were put into this home. It was a desirable floor plan, generous room sizes, including a spacious family room with a fireplace, a grand master suite, 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. It was 2,600 square feet on just about an acre of land, and again, that sold for $770,000. Next, we're going to go to Talk of the Town. Welcome back. Our next segment is called Talk of the Town.
We're really pleased today to be able to bring Rita Mullins as our first special guest. Rita is the Vice Chair of the North Reading Parks and Recreation Committee. Welcome, Rita.
Welcome, David. Thank you very much, David, Kim.
I think a good place to start would be maybe if you could explain to us the roles and the functions and the responsibilities of the Parks and Recreation Committee.
Sure. Well, the actual official title is North Reading Parks and Rec Committee, and on that we're supposed to help set policy and procedure. The real answer is we volunteer. A lot of us have a lot of different expertise. We volunteer on everything that the Parks and Recreation Department does. So we volunteer at a lot of barbecues, we volunteer at the programs, we try to help them as much as we can. They're unbelievable at what they do, and what we try to do is make sure that we're there for backup for anything that they might need. So we look for different expertise from different members of the community that might have expertise in the leagues, the programs, and we volunteer and give them our advice and basically come up with hopefully great programs.
And you've been on the committee for how long?
40 years. When I first started, I was playing softball, and I joined the committee. They asked me to join the committee, and I wanted to make a couple of better fields because we always played at just one field, the old Murphy School, and that was it for girls softball. And 40 years later, my thought 40 years ago was every field should be as good as the best field. And I think, to be honest, over the 40 years, we've had wonderful members and wonderful parks members that have helped us get there. And we're fortunate enough that we have a field for baseball. They have their own field. Football plays at the new turf field. Lacrosse plays at the turf field, Ipswich River Park. Little school houses softball. So every league in town is taken care of at one of the fields, and each field is as good as the next.
And are there specific facilities other than some of those fields that kind of are encompassed by the Parks and Rec Department?
Yes, actually North Reading was fortunate enough to have the Hillview Country Club, which 25 years ago, this year actually, received a grant from the community. They received a grant from the Community Preservation and Open Space Plan. And when they did 25 years ago, part of that deal, once you accepted money as a grant, meant that you had to give money back to your open space plan, your parks and recreation. So we've been fortunate enough for the past 15 years to have gotten $2 million from them back 15 years ago when we did Ipswich River Park, which is a 48-acre parcel. Gorgeous. It's the gem of North Reading. And if anybody's considering moving to North Reading, if you live in North Reading, you know about it. The Ipswich River Park, it offers something for everyone. It's a 48-acre site that features a half-mile walking and jogging track, a surrounding mix of softball, baseball, soccer, and lacrosse fields. Add to that tennis, basketball, and bocce courts, a kids' playground, skate park, and an inline skating rink. All that, plus a concession stand, picnic area, walking trails, all surrounding Ipswich River Park. It's just a majestic site. And in the summertime, starting after July 4th, on Wednesdays we have barbecue series down there that they bring in professional entertainment for the families and for the youth. And we have 2 entertainers a night, plus a barbecue, a la carte, all run by the Parks and Recreation Department and Committee. And everything is, all the proceeds from that go right back into the park. But it's a beautiful 8-week series on a Wednesday night starting at 5 o'clock. Also, we have canoe launches on 3 parcels in town, Ipswich River Park, Martin's Pond, and Eisenhower Pond. So if you like to get out, you're in nature, you enjoy the nature, there are plenty of walking paths down there, fishing, canoeing, boating, there's a ramp, picnic areas, and parking, and all that's free to the public.
Oh, it's also very, very impressive. How many users are there, would you say, that take advantage of the facilities that the town offers?
We have over 2,500 registered members just in the leagues alone that use all our parks. And that's quite a bit. And what happened is when there was the cuts back in town some 5 or 6 years ago, North Reading Recreation was hit pretty hard. And at that point, we kept 2 members on, the Parks Director and our Operations Manager, the finance person. And those are the 2 only taxpayer-drawn positions in town. After that, everything is raised for either user fees or program fees. We have a recreation program that's wonderful in town, very, very excellent people that run it, and professional kids that come in year after year that help with the entertainment, help with the programs, and that's run at a couple of the schools and at Ipswich River Park. And the funds that they pay, program fees, goes back again into recreation to come up with new fees, goes back into recreation, comes up with new programs. And we have a wonderful brochure that goes out 4 times a year. This is our spring and summer program. Events we have, the teddy bear picnic, we offer adult yoga, kickboxing, summer boot camp for those that want to get fit for the coming summer program. We have spring and summer tennis, first aid, CPR, fencing, golf lessons, cooking classes, singing classes, and they're all seasonal. We have a summer program, 8-week program. We have programs in the winter time, and all you have to do is call North Reading Recreation or go online, pull up a brochure, and you'll see all the events that we run.
Can you talk a little bit about some of the vacation clinics that you have and the different facilities that go on throughout the year?
Certainly. On the vacation clinics, we have every time there's a school vacation, every time there's a holiday, our Parks and Recreation Department runs some kind of program, usually for the toddlers up to middle school. You'll find at high school by that point, a lot of the young students that are high school age are playing a lot of different sports and everything. But we run soccer camps, we run cooking classes, we run everything from hip hop to aerobics, and they're usually 5-day classes. By the time you're done, you're either a professional little toddler cook or a professional youth cook or parents. And we have run wonderful programs for them, even as much as taking trips to Mohegan Sun, Rockland, Maine, Boothbay Harbor, Red Sox and Orioles in Baltimore. We have plenty of adult trips also that's good for family and adults. So anything I think that you're interested in, if you click on our folder and click on recreation, you're going to find something that appeals to you.
Now, for those people that are new to town or maybe from other viewing communities, can you talk how that's related to the North Reading Youth Services, how they work together, or what some of the similarities and differences are between the programming?
Absolutely. Matter of fact, you brought up a good point on the neighboring towns. At our barbecue series, 50% of the people that come to the barbecue are from the neighboring towns. As far as we go to a lot of people from Hamilton, Wenham, and New Hampshire that have come the first time with family. Reading, Andover, we get, like I said, over half of our clientele on Wednesday night that comes to the barbecue and the free entertainment is from out of town. And I think what happened on our youth services is about 7 years ago, the town sat down and they had a couple of parents that had gone to we had a couple of parents that went to a high school program that was run by the police department. And it was about on the dangers of what parents had to worry about today with the drugs and the alcohol and things like that. And a couple of parents in town that have lived here all their life realized there are an awful lot of tragedies in town, and how can we avoid a lot of these? And they felt that the missing link in North Reading was actually a youth service person. So the idea of this came around the time that we were at cuts, an awful lot of cuts in North Reading with teachers and police and firemen. But this group felt it was pretty important, so they researched other towns that had youth service, social service people, and approached the selectmen and said, if we raise enough money for salaries for 2 years for a person, and the person's on board for 2 years, and you watch this person and what they do for the community, would the town consider funding it? So the selectmen took that offer, took that grant, and said, you go out and do it. And well, the group raised over $100,000 in a short period of time. They hired a youth service director, who was terrific and got the program going. The person worked an awful lot with the schools and the community. And before you knew it, North Reading all of a sudden had a youth service department. In the 5 years since its existence, we've had 2 directors that were awesome, and as the kids say. And in that 2 years, the youth services department, the final person we had left, and we've been interviewing for over a month now. We had 60 applicants, which are wonderful, wonderful applicants with a breadth of knowledge from social service and have been in the business for 20 or 30 years. And we're down to our final candidates this week. We hope within the next week to be able to announce that we've hired our new director. And this person works very, very closely with the schools, the police, the town, the recreation department, and it's a whole tie-in so that if you have any issues, anything you need to know about or you worry about with your child, or that you want information on how you can be a better parent, what you can do, this department is available to help you and help you through any issues that you may have.
Sounds wonderful.
Those are going to be some tough shoes to fill. Both Jen O'Leary and Erica Hansen were fabulous.
They were
Yeah,
wonderful.
yeah.
We were fortunate that the selectmen got so behind our first two people because they were wonderful. They were well received in the community. They did so much for everybody. They started with a mentoring program, which the seniors in school, over 30 seniors, almost 40 actually, mentor elementary school children that are recommended by the principal of the schools. And it's once a week at the library. They're great role models. They're usually members of the National Honor Society. And they meet with these elementary school children, which love it because they look up to these kids and they listen to what they have to say. It's different than being mentored by a teacher, and they're hearing it from these students that can relate to them. And it's been a wonderful partnership. They also run a high school youth service program. They run a Gay Straight Alliance. They run a middle school program. They work with all the communities in town, the veterans when they need help. The youth services just sends out the alarm that we need help for this, and boom, they've got a great group of youth service students that are there to help them. It's been wonderful, and I think since then it was almost a spin-off that the Community Impact Team also got started. And the Community Impact Team was started this past year by the new police chief, Mike Murphy, who felt that youth services, recreation, the schools, the fire department, and the selectmen have to band together, and they started a Community Impact Team that meets once a month. And the youth service director is a big part of this, along with the police chief, to find out what are the problems in town for the youth, for seniors, what can we do that this community impact team will take everything together that are the issues in town. And you've got 5 committees that are willing to sit down and work on these programs to make North Reading a better place. They're all quality of life issues. And I'm also a member of that, and I'm telling you, I have so much respect for the people on that committee, Superintendent Willis and Chief Murphy, Bob Masseri, the youth service director, and Billy Warnock from the fire department. It's a great group, and we just brainstorm and come up with different programs and then have ad hoc committees off of that to do more things for the town.
Wow, it's really so impressive. And we thank you for coming today and sharing all your knowledge and your expertise with us.
Well, you're not going to get rid of me that soon. There's one more thing. When I started 40 years ago, and we actually had, like I said, 1 or 2 fields, in the 40 years things have changed so much that we now have staff. But we get started, and I keep going back to the community all the time and talking to the people in town that are new to town, because the idea of the community and volunteerism, it started with the businesses 40 years ago. That you look at every business, every team we have is sponsored by the business, and you, I just remember back, Spindler and O'Neil, you were always there, you're one of our partners, and you helped us with anything that we ever wanted. And I said this before, we never could be where we are today, the Parks and Rec, without the wonderful businesses in town that have been around for 35, 40 years that have sponsored us and helped us. So we couldn't have done it without you. It's a great team, and thank you so much for letting me be here today.
Thank you. It's our pleasure.
Before we leave, do you have any special upcoming projects? I know you guys don't sit idle very, very long, so is there anything that you're
funny you
let
say
the viewing audience know about?
Yeah, funny you say that. 15 years ago, we were fortunate enough to get a grant from the Hillview Country Club for $2 million, and that's where we built Ipswich River Park, which is a 48-acre site. After that, we also bought the Recreation Center, which was money that was given to us by the Hillview. We waited about 8 or 10 years and came up with another idea, which was a turf field at the high school, which is a beautiful turf and track field that's being used by everybody now, and that was put in about 5 years ago. So we will be meeting again with the Hillview to talk to them about one more project, and that's been our dream for years, to have the community center. And the community center, again, we hoped would have a basketball court or 2, maybe an indoor walking track, a social area in there, a youth center part for the kids, which the youth center now is also used as our facility on Central Street, the recreation annex that we have. And we hope the seniors would be a part of it, so they'd have a chance to use the facility, whether it's for movie nights, whether it's for different speakers that can come in and talk to the youth, the seniors, different times, and be used by everybody in the community. So we're very, very excited about that, and that's something we'll be talking to the Hillview about in a while, and you'll see us start a real fundraising effort on that again.
Sounds great. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate your time.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome back. Now we're going to move on to our segment of the show called BEANTOWN and Beyond. We do quite a bit of business in the Boston area, and Kim's going to spend a little bit of time talking about something that sold this quarter.
We had a great bi-level unit in South Boston sell on Pacific Street. Pacific Street is in the Thomas Park area of South Boston. It's very desirable. It's right near the high school. This was a bi-level unit with 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. It was a condo conversion. It had an oversized kitchen that was great for entertaining. It had a nice dining area, which you don't always find in South Boston, a nice deck off the back. It was listed for $399,000 and sold for $395,000. Again, that was 1 Pacific Street, Unit 1. It was a 2002 renovation, but it was built in 1880, and so there were lots of charm, medallions in the ceiling and beautiful woodwork and things of that nature. So it was kind of tying the old with the new. Needed a little bit of freshening up because it had been over 10 years since it was last remodeled, which is why it was priced at $399. But for that section of town, it was priced very well, and the buyers were thrilled to come in at $395 and to get that. No parking, by the way. So South Boston, $400,000 not to have a parking spot, but that's the way the market is.
Wow, unbelievable, isn't it?
Our next segment is the Q&A. And for future episodes, if you have any questions about the show, or if you have any questions about anything specifically related to real estate, please feel free to email us at price.thishouse@century21.com. Our first question comes to Dave.
Right. We had a question, actually, because this is a new show, we didn't have the email that we were hoping for, but we did have one of our customers ask us a question, so we thought that would be something that we really should relay on the show. And the question was, if my house is assessed at $302,000, is that what my house is really worth? Well, that's a real good question. You're paying taxes on that value. Is that the market value? Under Proposition 2.5, it's supposed to be on fair market value. And in the market, in these 4 communities that we're highlighting on the show, it's pretty accurate, but it isn't 100% guaranteed. It's sometimes a rule of thumb that someone can follow. It's sometimes you look at other homes that were assessed at that same price and what they sold for, and it gives you a ballpark, but it certainly isn't guaranteed to be the value that your home will sell for. So I hope that answers any questions that you might have on assessment versus sale price ratio.
And as alluded to in the prior segment, we did have a question come in from a viewer in Andover asking about, for what seems to be a strong spring market and a strong first quarter, why are the percentages down? It doesn't seem to make sense. We seem to be having a very good year. There are lots of buyers out there. And the reason is that we're actually really short on inventory. So there are tons of buyers in the marketplace. Sellers are actually getting a little bit more for their home than they were getting a year ago. And it's definitely a time, if you're considering listing your property, now is the time to do it because there's just no competition. If you think of a traditional supply and demand curve, you have very limited supply and a lot of demand. A lot of the buyers are out there. They're really excited that the interest rates have stayed low. They're excited that the property values haven't really crept back up yet. And so they're out there in droves. You go to open houses, you'll have 30, 40 couples coming through. And so you really need to work with your real estate agent in terms of properly pricing the house so that you get the adequate number of people through the house, and then you can sell it, usually pretty quickly. But the reason that the numbers are down is simply because the number of homes available is down.
Right. It's really important to remember it's the time of year also. We're in the height of spring market, so our next show, which will be the second quarter in review, will actually show what transpired in this spring market. The numbers we're looking at now are really the winter months, January, February, March, which is not unusual for it to be a little lower than it will be in the second quarter.
Again, if you do have questions for our future episodes, email them to price.thishouse@century21.com.
Well, we're at the point of the show where it's time to wrap up. We're going to leave you today with a property that's on the market at $699,900. The address is 14 Heritage Way in North Reading. It's a 2,400 square foot home with an additional 1,000 square feet in the lower level. So a total of 3,400 square feet, professionally manicured acre lot in a very, very desirable location. You can walk to the Ipswich River Park from there. It's near the Bachelor School, and it's near the new high school and middle school complex. So it's a very, very desirable location. It's just a 3-mile commute to Route 95 or 128, and price is at $699. So if you have any interest, feel free to give us a call.
Well, that concludes the second episode of Price This House. Thanks to Rita Mullins for her insight and talk of the town, and thanks to all of you for watching. We'll see you next time on Price This House.
Thanks. Have a great week.